imagine ruling the world, but losing control of time. Not the hours or minutes, but the months themselves. In ancient Rome, generals marched by the moon, politicians bought years, and the very calendar was a weapon. By the 1st century BCE, Rome's months were slipping. Spring arrived in winter. Elections happened in autumn, though they were meant for summer. Time had become negotiable, and as the Republic stumbled, so did its calendar, until one man realized, if Rome was to survive, it had to reclaim time itself. But fixing time almost broke the empire. The Roman calendar began not with Caesar, but with kings and omens. The earliest Roman calendar, said to be created by Romulus himself, had just 10 months, beginning in March and ending in December. It was manual, it was political, and it was a problem. A consul could extend his term. A priest could delay an election. Years stretched or shrank to fit power. Months were based on lunar cycles, 29 to 31 days, but they didn't align perfectly with the solar year. Over time, things slipped. Crops were being planted at the wrong times. Festivals lost their meaning. The Republic was operating on borrowed time, literally. There was no January, no February. Winter simply wasn't counted. But as Rome grew, it needed structure. The moon was their guide. To correct this drift, Roman priests, called pontifices, added an extra month, Mercedonius, roughly every other year. They knew something the Romans had ignored. The Earth takes roughly 365.25 days to orbit the Sun. Not 355, not 370, just 365.25. You see, only the priests could declare when the year would begin. This meant time became political currency. 12 months, 365 days, and a leap day every 4 years. By the 2nd century BCE, the calendar was out of sync with the seasons by over 3 months. Worse still, no one really agreed on what day it was. Historians call it the last year of confusion. It was a temporal reset the likes of which the ancient world had never seen. In Rome, time was not a shared truth, it was a negotiation. The year was 46 BCE. Julius Caesar had returned from Gaul, victorious, ambitious, and deeply aware of the mess Rome had become. He wasn't just seizing political power, he wanted to seize temporal power. To fix the calendar was to fix the state. Or so he thought. Later, Augustus would name Sextilis after him, August. The Julian calendar stabilized Rome. For a time, they added leap years too frequently, causing the calendar to drift once again. Rome's attempt to standardize time nearly broke it again. Caesar turned to Sosigenes, a Greek-Egyptian astronomer from Alexandria. Egypt, after all, had been tracking the solar year far longer than Rome. A political tool, a reminder of who now controlled time. Sosigenes advised Caesar to abandon the lunar system and switch to a solar calendar, one that matched the actual seasons. He quietly skipped several leap years to get the calendar back on track. A global system of time zones syncs every second of your life. But here's the twist. In order to correct the existing drift, Caesar had to add an extra 90 days to the year 46 BCE. That's right, one Roman year was made 445 days long. Imagine waking up to find your year is suddenly 4 months longer. This shift shocked the empire. Farmers, traders, generals, everyone had to adjust. Sacred festivals were moved. Contracts were voided. Birthdays delayed. And not everyone was pleased. Many Romans saw this as Caesar overreaching, a man who dared to edit time. We live by the tick of schedules, deadlines, and notifications. And like the Romans, sometimes we forget why we're measuring time at all. But the reform worked. Here's where it gets strange. The Julian calendar was more accurate than anything Rome had used. But it was not perfect. It added one leap day every 4 years. But this overcorrected slightly, off by 11 minutes per year. Over centuries, that too would cause drift. But the deeper insight is this. Caesar's calendar wasn't just scientific, it was imperial. He renamed the month Quintilis to Julius, July, after himself. The calendar had become a monument. And yet, even with this power, chaos remained. After Caesar's assassination in 44 BCE, his successors misapplied the leap year rule. It would take Augustus, Caesar's heir, to correct the mistake. Rome's calendar was held together not by precision, but by powerful men imposing order. Time was not just measured, it was governed, and governed imperfectly. So what does this mean for us? Today, we take calendars for granted. Your phone updates leap years automatically. But underneath it all lies the same truth. Time is a human system, built to make sense of chaos. And like Rome, we sometimes manipulate it. We stretch our hours to work more. We create deadlines, shift routines, change clocks for daylight savings. Even our productivity tools, planners, apps, time blocks, are echoes of Caesar's ambition to tame time. But here's the catch. When time becomes a tool of control, it also becomes a source of anxiety. Maybe the real lesson from Rome isn't about precision, but perspective. That even the most powerful empire struggled to make sense of time. That fixing the calendar didn't fix the chaos. And that perhaps, time isn't meant to be mastered, just understood. The Roman calendar survived empires, religions, and revolutions. In fact, most of the world still lives by Caesar's design. Give or take a few popes and leap days. But in the ruins of the Forum, if you listen closely, you might hear it, the echo of an empire still counting the days. Not in stone, not in glory, but in hours once stolen and later restored. Until next time, remember, history doesn't just record time. Sometimes it rewrites it. Hit that like button if this journey through time inspired you. And subscribe to the Time Tellers for more immersive adventures into ancient wisdom and modern mastery. Until next time, keep listening for the rhythm of history. This is the Time Tellers.